just like to bring attention to a couple of things that are failures in this roof. Some, if you wanted to fix, would take a lot of effort, some not so much. Firstly, I've talked about before the pleat cord fix and how this thing shreds and how this one had completely separated from the canvas underneath, so clearly this pulling on it would have had no effect anyhow, even if this had have stayed together. But even further down, there's this bit here, and this is connected to one of those big silver aluminium bars that goes from one side to the other. And as it folds, it obviously pulls on that, and that is also glued further down here. And that had also completely separated all the way from one side to the other. So as that bar was folding in, that was clearly not doing anything to the canvas. So I suspect that that is a symptom of the water-based glue thing that caused the problems in the door panels, etc. Who knows? But yeah, that's a bit interesting. Of the same token, there's these bits here that are attached there, just glued. These pull it into place when you, sort of similar to the pleat cord, when it folds into place. And these, on the other side, this one isn't so bad, but on the other side, this was just completely coming apart. What's also interesting is this tearing of the back here, and this is something that you can do something about now. The roof frame, when everything's completely off, you'll notice the wiring harness that runs all the way down here. Let's make sure you can see what I'm talking about here. And right there, there's this cable tie. And as you can see, that sticks up like that, and that edge is really sharp, and that is what is grabbing onto it. The problem is to get access to that is a little bit difficult. I'll show you how you can get your arm down in here, but it's a bit of a squeeze. You might have to get your wife or someone with a skinny arm to get in there and do this. But if you get your finger in there and rotate it down that way, so towards the outside, that puts it out of the way. If you rotate it that way, this arm here, as this folds up back, will actually just grab it and put it back up there on the top there. Again, with the roof, this is how the roof is kind of going to look in that position where you've got it sort of half open. That cable tie is down there, so you'll reach your hand through here, you'll feel the electrical harness there, follow it all the way down until it goes and it's crossing over the top from the inside to the outside, and that's where that cable tie is. You want to push it like that. So there's nothing particularly wrong with having a cable tie here. The problem is in the factory where they've clipped it, there's a really sharp edge on it. So if you did have the liner off, or for some reason you had it looking like this, then just get a knife and just shave off the top. So this is all nice and smooth, and then you shouldn't have the problem. So to get your hand in there and fix it, put the roof in about this position here. You want it open enough so you can get your hand down in here, but not so much that it's starting to pull on these strings and close the gap that's here for the liner. That zip tie is just about there somewhere. So you have to get your hand all the way in here and feel down. You'll be able to feel the electrical harness just there and follow it down to where it crosses the beam. And eventually you'll find the thing. And then push it down to this side here. Now what I've done to try and take the edge off that cable tie that's sticking up there, because when I did the pleat cord fix, instead of riveting all this together, I screwed it back together, and I guess this is where the disadvantage is, that I've just been able to unscrew a couple of points here to give myself some room to get the hand down there a little bit more easily. I've unscrewed the one that holds onto these two things that pull in on the canvas, as well as the one here on the liner, and now I can get my hand down here a little bit more easily, that one there, and get in there and feel it. And I was able to get in there with a little baby piece of sandpaper and sand the edge off it. So if you want to see if you've got a tear in that liner in the canvas, just using my hands here, that's where, so it's about midway through, or nearly a bit less than halfway down is where the cable tie is. If you pick your finger up to about there, so it's about there in reference, because those two touch each other when it folds, that's where it is. And I can feel, it's probably about as long as my finger, probably about that long is a tear that I can feel in that liner there. If you want to check if those pieces that are glued along the back here are holding on okay, that's the pleat cord there. You run your hands inside and find it, where that cleat is, and if you pull all the way along and you see it's all holding on there, then clearly that's connected correctly. You take your hands down a little bit further, there's that first aluminium bar that has that bit attached to it, and if you pull on that, not sure if you can see there, where that's pulling it on the canvas, it's clearly glued all the way along there. So that's the way to check.